fooling around with the paints and making sure I got all the colors that I wanted. And after a while you think, oh, really, do I have to do set up all the time? I want to get the brush out. So this is me just doodling, and I'm going to tighten in a bit. And I'm going to get rid of these, if I can. Slightly different on the screen. Why am I not being able to do that? No, I don't want to do that. Sorry, chatting to myself here in the hopes that something will. Aha, got it. Okay, so I am going to go back here, I think, to sharing. Should be doing that. Okay. Speaker. Right. Okay. I am seeing myself. Well, that's lovely. But I am not seeing I'm going to stop sharing and then start sharing again, just to see if that does what I need to do. Aha. All right. So I'm going to take that. I have to take that off so that I don't have the recording stuff in the middle of the picture. So as you see, I started off with a bit of bamboo because I like bamboo, and it's a fun stroke. And from there I went to, I think it was the lotus flower, because I like doing lotus flowers. I was going to things that are in my comfort zone. And practice, wow, I do lots and lots of practice. And everybody needs to practice. Sorry if you don't want to hear that, but yes, everybody needs to practice, because it's like a musical instrument. We all need to practice. Here I am practicing bird poses, beaks and eyes, a bit of wisteria, trying out different colors. So we all need to do the practice. Now I'm using, this is a single shrun. I'm all set. So you can all see my screen, my painting surface.
Beautifully.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so let's start with the wisteria flower. Now here are some of the brushes that I like to use when I'm painting wisterias. I've got some white brushes, that is white hair brushes, and I've got a brown hair, that is a weasel probably, and it's stiffer. And I've got a couple here that have come to a very nice point. You can see it's black at that tip and then white to hold more water there. So the colors we're going to use, and I'm going to use this brush. Okay, this is a very old brush. I don't know how long I've had it, probably over 20 years, but you get favorite brushes. And this seems to be really good for wisteria. So here's my palette. I'm going to zoom in a bit. All right. So I've got sky blue, which I will mix with carmine. And those two colors make a very nice purple, and you can get it as a warm color or a cooler color. If you use a lot of the red, of course, it'll be a warmer color. You use more blue, it'll be a cooler color. And it's entirely as you like. If you have other ideas about what's going to be in the painting and you want a very warm color, do that. If you want a cooler color, put in more blue. So just to tell you, um, I've got the brown, I've got a sort of a golden yellow here, a lemon yellow, and indigo. And we'll be using those two for the leaves. So I'm going to put some, that wasn't the brush I was expecting. Not a bit of it. Just adding more water to it to dilute it. And I'm going to go back to the brush that I thought I was going to use, which is this. And taking some of the sky blue, and I put this over here so that I can go back to the thicker. Now you'll see as I add it here, I'm getting different shades of purple. And that's why it's really useful to have a piece of paper that you're going to check things on. I'm going to say check your color a lot. It also helps you to see if you've got too much water on the brush. Because as we know, there are only two difficulties in Chinese brush painting or sumie, and one is too much water on the brush and the other is not enough. So you just keep going. Okay, that's nice, but it's too red. So I'm going to add a little bit more of that. Okay, so we're starting to get some interesting colors. What I see from that last one is that I haven't really mixed, and I've got a little bit too much blue on the brush. So I'm going to add a little bit more of both colors there. Check it out. Well, it's okay. It's just a bit grainy. It all depends on what kind of paper you got. And I can see it's separating here. It's just what colors do. I don't know why. My teacher would say it's chemical, and I'm sure that's true. So the basic stroke for Wisteria, I've studied Wisteria with several different Chinese teachers, and they will do it slightly different. But this is Xie, which my teacher taught me, which is paint the idea. And basically it's a tick like that. And a tick on the other side. See, I'm adding things in. I'm being very casual about it. I'm going from top to bottom. I'm going from bottom to top, just to stay casual with it. That's what the looseness is all about. That's the Xie. That's to get the sense of what Wisteria is, as opposed to the portrait. You're getting an idea. So to put those together in a group, I'm going to a smaller brush and I'm going to mix a bit of black So here's my black. And I've got some, this is a deeper red. I guess that's sort of a peony red. And I'm mixing that in. You could use the carmine as well if you don't have that red, but I'll just add a little bit of that. Probably looks completely black to you. I'm going to add a little bit more carmine so that it doesn't look quite so black. Now this is to add the stem that goes down through the flower. And you can do that with this color. You can do it with also with green. What I find is that the green doesn't have quite enough punch for me. So what I'm going to do is show you how the stem would be. So obviously the stem is going like that. It's a bit of an angle. Brush is a little bit too dry, so I better go back there. You'll notice that I'm not, and I'm going to show that up here, I'm not just doing it like that. I'm pressing down at the beginning of the stroke or the end of the stroke. It's more calligraphic that way. Remember that we're painting with brushes, not with pencils. And you see, I've added quite a few stems out to the flowers. Is that anatomically correct? Possibly not, but it's like the crunchy bits on ice cream. It gives a sense of excitement. Then I'm going to take a little bit of the golden yellow. It's quite a bright orangey yellow. If that's too bright for you, you can always add a little bit of the lemony yellow as well. And these are, I'm sure there's a name for this, but I describe it as it's the lights on the runway for the bees to see where the pollen is. So we're just doing little dabs. Most of them are by twos, but it doesn't really matter. What it is something that's bright and shows up, because it's on the other side of the color wheel, it shows up the purple, it shows up the gold. I'm pausing now so that folks can catch up.
Okay, we'll be running.
All right. So next is the leaves. And the leaves, there's a formal way of doing it, and there is an informal way of doing it. And my teacher taught me more of a formal way, more of a traditional way. The more modern teachers, they just splash around. They have a good time, and just splashing around rather than trying to get it exactly the way you think it should be helps you to relax and be looser. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you more or less how it is shaped, and then we'll have fun and loosen it up. So what I'm doing here, these are the ribs of the leaves, so they sort of come out like that. And of course they don't only come out of the top, they'll have some more coming out of the side. So I'm rinsing off my brush, and I'm going to take the brush I used for the flowers, because I want a wider brush for these leaves. So indigo, the yellow, you're going to use a lot of green, and some people like a bluish green, some people like more of a yellowish green, and really doesn't matter what you use, what your preference is. And then I'm going to add a bit of black, and obviously you need to mix that black in on the tip of the brush, and I'm going to try it out here first. All right, I can see a bit of the green, but it's too black. So I'm going to get rid of a bit of that black and go back to my colors again. So here we have the colors again. I'm seeing a bit of the black still on the brush, which is fine. And let's try that again. Still a bit dark. Okay. So you just have to keep going with this until you get the color you want, because you want it on your practice paper or your saucer. You don't want it on your finished painting. You want the color you really want. So let's try that. Okay, we're getting lighter now. So I'm going to use this, just adding a little bit of black on the tip. Okay, I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I'm having to move everything around. Okay, let's try that. So start at the tip of that center rib and just press down and pull it up. So you can leave it like that, or you can do the other side showing, and it could be big leaves on this side, or it could be smaller ones. I'm mixing more yellow on the brush because I'm seeing that that's a bit dull. All right, it's getting a bit better, but I'm finding it still a bit dull. So adding more. The thing with leaves is that they aren't perfect leaves all going in the same direction. You know, you can paint them that way and that will be decorative, and there's nothing wrong with decorative. It's just that if you want to have more of a sense of nature, be more casual with it. So down here, so you're probably getting an idea. Now that I've done those, I can add in some black ones, like here. That will give a nice contrast. Up here. And here I think we need some, and we could make these black. Again, you want a contrast to the color and the shade of the flowers. So I could make make them sort of orangey yellow, a light green, or I could make them black. So mixing that together. See, at this point, I'm just sort of dabbing in some leaf shapes in there. And there you have, oh, we got some here too, because obviously we're running into the practice strokes. But there you see, you have all you need for the flowers. Now, if you want to put stems in the veins in the leaves here and add a little bit of strength to the stems, then starting here, now obviously it's a bit wet. I would usually wait a bit and something else before I did this. Do we have questions? Unmute yourself if you have questions. Well, I'm not hearing anything. Could somebody please say hello?
Hello, Virginia. It sounds as though we're all awestruck already. So, no questions so far as I know. Thanks.
Okay. So do
I
we?
was just going to ask, Virginia, your calligraphic strokes are very good. Do you have any sort of exercises or methods for students to improve their calligraphy type quality of their brushwork?
That's a very good question. And when I was working with my teacher, Ishung Ju, his wife, who was a calligrapher, said to me, "Your calligraphy not good, Virginia." And so I asked her husband, should I take a year off painting and just study calligraphy? And he said, no, paint. And obviously he was very prejudiced. But the thing is, it's a dance. And it isn't so much the calligraphy stroke. And my calligraphy is dreadful, but my strokes have energy. And they are based on calligraphy strokes, but frankly, any calligraphy that I write is atrocious. But the strokes, see, that has energy. And this is what you need to get used to, is dancing with the brush.
Is that helpful, Anne?
Yes, thank you, Virginia. That's very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, and you know, that just comes with practice. I put on music when I paint a lot, and people say, so you put on, beautiful classical music? Well, sometimes I do, but actually I like rock and roll, and I dance as I'm painting, and that's what the brush needs to do. It needs to dance. So up here, I'm just going to do some what I would call twiddles. And that is using the brush upright. I hold my brush in a Western way rather than the Chinese way, which would be like that. That would be the Chinese way to hold it. I hold it more like a pen. And teachers have said to me in China, some of them have said, you don't hold the brush correctly. And others have said, it doesn't matter. The brush is just a tool. And use it the way it works for you. Now, when you're doing things like the twiddles, you need to hold the brush upright. Otherwise, you get this sort of thing happening. Now, that's fine if what you're doing is a rock, but when you're doing what is a straight, not straight, a narrow vein, or I'm just sort of twiddling here. And take paper and just twiddle. That sounds really strange, but really, I'm going to continue here, and I'm going to, as you can see, I have done that. I'm going to take a break now, and I'm just going to do some twiddles. And Wisteria is full of these vines that just sort of do that. And that's what makes the excitement in the painting, is doing those free form, casual strokes. And I'm trying not to say line, because a line tends to mean, you know, from one point to another and it's straight. But what we want is wiggle. And me dots, yeah, you probably have heard me dots. They are these little dots here. It's like punctuation. And if you were doing your rock, like here, you would do me dots, just to show that there might be a bit of moss growing on the rock. It adds texture. So we're getting off the subject. But I need to know, are we moving on from the flowers and the leaves, or do we need to spend more time on that?
What do people need a bit more time, or are you happy to move on?
I'm okay. Yeah, carry on.
Happy to move on.
Happy to move
Could you
on.
do the petal again? I've
Happy
just
to move
got
on.
blobs, and you said they should be like a tick shape.
Yeah,
Oh,
but actually blobs are okay. I'm rinsing off the brush and going to find that color, which is separating. I don't know why these colors are separating. They didn't separate yesterday, but today they are separating. But I don't think it matters. As it goes onto the paper, you do get a bit of graininess. Now, I know that this brush is too wet because I rinsed it, and I'm just going to put it there. And yeah, it's a bit too wet. So I'm going to dry it off on the paper. And if you're right-handed, you'll probably find that the tick works best like that. If you're left-handed, and you can tell I'm right-handed, it will work better that way. But you don't have to do just that. Now, the flower itself is sort of like that, and then it has this nose to it. And then the two yellows are somewhere around like that. And a lot of the artists will do that. They will do every flower, and they will add white to their purple, in order to get the different gradations, rather than this method, which is on a single shran, and so things bleed all over the place. And then that's when you get to see the other gradations of color. See all those gradations of color there? You start off, you've got water there, and it's a little darker and it's darker. So I'm going to put more color on the brush, and I'll do some more ticks. So here's the easy tick for me, which is that side and this side. You notice I didn't line those up. One is higher than the other, because I don't want to be going down the chute here, having everything lining up. And some of these little ticks could be that sort of beaky thing at the end of the flower. And they do tend to get darker as you go down. So if you leave room at the top, you may want to add in some lighter strokes. And I am thinking of grouping. See, I did 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. All right. And I need that saucer. So here's my saucer with sort of the red, which I'm adding to the black. And then you need to check your color on this, because you may well have too much water on the brush. So I'm going to, okay.
Virginia,
Yes,
could you move your paper up a little bit? Can't see the bottom.
right. Yes,
Thank you.
there we go.
Thank
There
you.
we go. All right. So I'm going to incorporate this, and I'm going to incorporate that in the flower, because otherwise it's very vertical. So there we go. See how I'm pausing? I'm not doing one line that goes all the way down.
Oh, it's like that. Oh,
Please, can people
you've got a bit of
mute?
tape.
Can what? Oh, right.
So,
Whoever's chatting there, please mute.
All right. So see how I do it in bits. I'm not doing a stroke that goes all the way down here. These are the little buds that are on the end of the flower. It's a composite flower. That whole thing is the flower, but each little, shall we say, floret is a flower that we paint separately. And we can add the yellow on. See, I'm being casual with this. I'm just going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then the leaves, again, we are, and I'm going to show you slightly different leaf next. Are we doing all right on time? Yes, we are. Good. All right, I'm mixing more green. And so here, as I said, I created the arc first, and then I put the leaf on. Again, it's a composite leaf like the flower. But here, what I'm going to do is much more casual. And doing like that gives more life to it. It's less decorative, but it's more natural. Now this was what's left of the demonstration of what the flower actually looks like. So we'll just fill that in like that. So you see the difference between that, which has more defined shapes, arcs, and then this, I'm still following an arc, but it's not so visible. See, I twist my brush to emphasize the shape that I want. All right.
It's
So,
more how a wisteria looks on the plant, isn't it?
yes, exactly. Yes. You could have a botanical drawing, which is very accurate, or you can have something that is more casual and that feels like it's moving in the breeze.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Oh, I'm going to cut my piece of paper because it's far too big. Don't know how that got in here. Okay, so let's do some branches. And I'm going to have a different piece of paper for the branches because this is a good opportunity for you just to practice without feeling that it has to go somewhere like to meet the flowers or the leaves. Probably when you were painting bamboo leaves for the first time, they taught you just the leaves. And the benefit of that is that you don't have to think, oh, well, this has to join um, a piece of stem here. It has to join that. No, we're just going to play. I like playing. So I'm going to take a nice dirty saucer. I do like dirty saucers. I have a really hard time having color left in my palette and not using it. I can't bear to wipe it out and just throw it away. So, and my teacher was the same, and he'd say, "Oh, Virginia, I use up your colors," and so he'd create a masterpiece out of whatever I got left in the palette. So here we've got a brown, and it's a bit watery at the moment. I'm going to add a little bit more color. I'm going to dab. Can we see that? Yes, we can see that. So I'm going to dab that off a bit too wet. And a bit of black on the tip. And then just watch how this could go. I'm holding onto the paper and I am not thinking about where it's going.
I've lost the sound. Has anybody else?
She's not talking. She's thinking. That's why. Sorry, you haven't lost the sound. I'm just thinking about this and how to show you something else on this. Okay. You can probably guess what I'm doing. I'm putting a bit of wisteria in there, and it could come from, no, I'm going to have leaves coming out there. So, well, maybe I'll do this next. You notice that my brush moves very fast, and I encourage you to move fast. Now, your branch may not look anything like mine, and that's absolutely fine. Actually, that's preferable. Going back to the green. Adding a bit more blue. Dabbing it off. Get a little bit of black. Okay. Then I'm taking the smaller brush That's the full paper. I can pull it out a bit. All right. So there's, totally relaxed and just having fun with it. I got an email from a friend who's also a painter, and it made me rather sad because she said that she is so anxious when she paints that she panics with every stroke. And that's why I'm taking this approach with you to say, just let the brush go. Don't think about, whoa, my goodness, I've ruined my masterpiece. Just let it go. Just going to put some veins on the leaves here. It's again, it's still very wet, so and where would I sign it? If I wanted to, I might say, it's all right, but I'm not so sure I want to keep it. I kind of like it. So I could sign it here, I think. I could also sign it there. It's always a difficult thing to figure out. So what I do is I have my name and my seals on a piece of paper like that, and I place it and I say, well, does that work? Do I need more twiddles on the paper to change it? I could also put it there. That sort of pulls that whole line. I don't think I want it there because then I'm lining it up with that, and we don't want that. Similarly, I don't want to be right at the top there because then I'm lining it up with that. So it looks like that's the choice. You can add bees and butterflies and all sorts of things, but this is really a quick and casual sketch. So I would say probably that's the best place for it. Now you'll be able to see my not not so great calligraphy. All right, there we go. And this is Wei Jen, which is my artist name given to me by my teacher. And that's Wei and Jen. And it translates very loosely as nothing but love.
Great name. Lovely.
Thank you. Yes, I'm really delighted that he came up with a name that worked for me. I'm going to just this is me practicing.
Looks lovely.
Well, yeah, and I go critiquing and I go, yes, the head's a bit too big there and the back's not quite right. You know, that's why I do so many of them. It's like practicing scales if you're a musician. Bit by bit, that becomes more facile. So that's the sort of thing I do. I am looking now for another small piece of paper, which I don't seem to see. Oh, and here's me practicing frogs.
Oh.
All different faces, attempts at, here there's somebody actually sitting on a chair. I don't know why. But it's all about letting it go, being loose. Okay, I'm going to, oh, here it is. Here's the other piece of paper. All right. Okay, I need to drink a bit of tea.
Right.
Can I ask what paper you're actually using? Sorry.
It's all single shran, raw single shran. So it's very thin. I've got, I think, 3 different batches here, and some of them I prefer the way they work, but some work better for the wisteria flower, others work better for the bird, and so basically I've cut a bunch and we'll just see how it comes out.
Thank you.
And the answer about the paper is use the paper that works for you. You don't have to use any particular paper. Okay, so birds. I think I had a sheet. Right, okay. Going to go back to share. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to put you up there. Yes. No, you came back there. All right. Okay, so this is a sheet I was doing with a class I was demonstrating. And this is more or less the bird that we're going to paint. And the first thing I wanted to show was the beak, because I've noticed that people often get the beak wrong. The beak, although it contains the nostrils, the beak is actually the mouth. And when you think about your jaw, it's not on the front of your face. The jaw hinge is back here, way back. So the eye, don't put the eye down here because that would be in your chin. So the eye has to go above the, let's see, Okay. Here's the eye up here, and here's the jaw, and that's how it is. It's open, and it closes like that. So the head is going to come up like that. So I'm going to demonstrate that. I would say that's probably the mistake I see most, is the beak is in the wrong place. So here we go. I'll zoom in a bit. Okay. So I do the center line first. Other people do the top line first. It doesn't matter as long as the result is good. So I land and then I press down. Like that. Ooh, that's not very clear, is it? Okay, 1, 2, and 3. That's clearer. Now the eye is going to be here because this is the head of the bird. So the eye has to be up here. You want to give the bird a bit of a neck. So I'm going to show you that again.
Make a line with a press down. Top,
Like that.
bottom,
Top line short
eye.
and the bottom line. And then the eye is going to be, oops, up there. And some birds, raptors particularly, have the eye closer to the beak and looking forward. Most other birds have the eye on the side of the head. That's why, you know, you see birds cocking their heads. What they're doing is they're looking down on the ground, or up in the air, I suppose, as well. Now, if you're doing it the other side, if your bird is facing the other way, again, you are going to press down. Now, that little dot I put on there, that's the nostril. Yes, birds don't have noses, but they do have nostrils, obviously, because they've got to be able to breathe. And the nostril comes out on the top level of their beak, which would be the jaw, the top jaw. Now, if that's slanting up a bit, so we could have the eye here, and then the head is like that. So you see the eye has come down a bit because of the angle of the head. That the eye is higher because it's facing down a bit. If you want to do an open mouth, an open beak, there are a couple of ways. You can either do it like that. Or you can do it like that, with a bit of beak showing down there as well. There's your nostril. Or then this is more sort of Lin-Nan school, which is somewhat exaggerated. You've got, and then that and that. Yeah, what they are showing here is the skin, your cheek. That's the cheek of the bird. And if you extend these lines, that's the hinge of the jaw, just as you have a hinge. So again,
We've lost your We're seeing Virginia now, not her. We can't see the demonstration bit.
thank you. What happened? Go back to share. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, that's back.
Hey, all right. All right. So is this making sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yes.
If it's not making sense, please say so, because the beak and the eye placement on the head of the bird is crucial. You know, you can pretty much do anything with the body of the bird as long as your head is right. Two things, actually. The head needs to be right, and the feet need to be under the bird. What happens quite often, let's see if I can show you that. So this is a bird on a branch.
Can't see the branch.
Sorry, thank you. I'll zoom it out a bit. There we go. Okay, so there's the branch under the bird. These feet, because the bird is facing away from us, they are towards the back. These feet, again, towards the back. Well, that's the same pose. Different pose. Okay, we can look at this one, actually. The bird, the feet form a triangle from the heart. So the heart of the bird is somewhere up here. So then you draw a triangle, and it comes down here. You don't want your foot out here. And then the bird is doing the splits. So you can take a look at this one. The heart is up here. So we have this foot cannot be here. It has to be under the bird. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't make sense, I'll try again to explain. That is probably one of the hardest things, is to get the feet in the right place. See here, we've got the head, it's going that way, the body's going that way, and then the feet need to point that way, but we need to keep it under the bird. If the foot extends here, then the bird's going to fall over. And I make that mistake sometimes, and I go, got to do that one again. This one is a sort of a minor bird, M-Y-N-A, or with an H at the end. And again, you see the feet in a triangle. That's why doing birds that are sitting is actually a whole lot easier than a bird that's standing.
But they look better, don't they, standing?
They what?
They look better standing, don't they? More alive.
Well, we always do our best, don't we?
Virginia, can you send Angela a couple of pictures of your
Yep.
this
Absolutely.
exercises, so she can just circulate it to the participants, because they are lovely. They are very nice to try.
Good. Excellent. Yes, absolutely. We can do
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you very much. That's great. Yes.
So if you were doing, say, a crane or a heron, the beak would be much bigger. But it's the same idea. And the eye is going to be here. Okay, so I am going to demonstrate this bird. And I need some paper. Gosh. Okay, I'll do that on this paper. And all right.
Do you recommend a stiffer brush for the bird, or a softer one, or doesn't matter, whatever we can?
Actually, I will use several brushes. This one, as you can see, is quite thin. That works very well for the beak and the eye. But when I'm doing the volume strokes, like for the back of the bird or the head of the bird, I will use probably this, which is actually Oriental art supply called Big Idea. And that's actually a brown haired brush. I could also use this one, but that's a little big for the size of bird that I'm going to do. I have thousands of brushes, and of course I like to use maybe 15 of them. I'm always getting confused as to which brush I should use next. Okay. What I'm doing now is I'm checking my brush, because you don't want the beak to smear, so just drying it off a bit. I see I'm dabbing it every time, because again, this is very thin shrun and it tends to bleed, so it's all right. There's the eye. And I'm getting some brown on my brush. You can use any color you like for birds, and I've seen some tropical birds that are unbelievably colorful. And in China, when I would go to China and I'd see a wonderful bird, and I would ask the guide to ask, what kind of bird is that? And there would be this long conversation in Chinese, and the guide would turn back to me and say, it's a local bird. So any bird you like, any bird you like will work. Any color you want to make it pink and purple, you can do that. So again, I am dabbing it. You can't see, but I am actually dabbing it. So I'll demonstrate that stroke for you. I can do it on some of these other heads. So you're going to start here by the beak, and you're going to press down and then bring it down like that. And then you can fill in as you like. You could make that black, or you could make it brown or yellow, again, any color you want. So again, this one going in this direction, press down. Now, that's the cheek, so that would actually be brown as well. This one's a little too wet. I'm going to stop it running, perhaps, possibly, or not. I need a little bit of neck in there. A little stroke. And then the next stroke is, this is the shoulder showing. So we've got a lot of belly showing, and then we've got a little bit of shoulder and feathers showing. And again, you know, I'm talking a lot, so my brush dries out or my colors dry out, so I have to check them again to make sure that they are the way I want them. All right. And for this stroke, it's the stroke called Hide the Tip. And I'll do it up here so you can see how it goes. So that it's rounded at the top. I'll do that again. See, I'm going up and then down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we'll put it on this one. Now I'm going to do the belly stroke next because I can't really fill in the feathers until I know where the belly's going. So I want a very light color. I'm not going to use a full stroke to the belly. You can do that, but it can be dangerous. So you want to make it easy on yourself. So I'm going to add a little bit more there. That's a little too dark. Okay. And painting in the air is just fine. See, I did two strokes. I did this one, which is the continuation of the neck, and then the roundness of the belly. I'm not closing it off here because I want to put the feet in. And I'm going to add a little bit of water here just to let this colour be more feathered. Then the feet, as I was saying earlier, the feet need to be under the bird. Here's the heart of the bird. So we want to have one here and one here. Can't have it out here. And the other one is probably about here. So it's sitting on a branch, and we will put a branch in to show how that's going to go. But now we can do the feathers coming down. Again, we don't want the feathers coming down too far because the wing will be on the other side of the branch. And let's put that in now so that we see where that goes. I'm going to use the green simply because it makes a nice contrast to the black and the brown. Make sure my brush isn't too wet. So you see that the wing, the belly is on this side of the branch, and the wing is going to go behind that branch. And since this is a sort of a sparrowy kind of bird, I'm just putting a few little dots. Now the tail, obviously is at the back of the bird, and it's going to come down here. The tail would not be here because the wing is here. It's 3/4. We're seeing 3/4 of the bird, so it's going to come down like that. And for that, you need to start off with a light grey, and I'm doing a light grey, and I'm going to have to test it to make sure it's not too dark. So here, a little wet. That's better. That's a better color. Very light. And in fact, there is like a V. That's the termination of the body of the bird. And then, because that's the back, back. That is the underneath of the tail. So I'm going to do that, and that's just to put a little bit more emphasis on the tail. And you can do that if you want. And I'm going to make the beak yellow. Again, beaks come in yellow and brown and grey and blue and green, all sorts of colours. Choose what colour works for you, what you like. And the eyeball can also be yellow. So that's it. Now there's all sorts of things you can do. You can take a little light grey or a light yellow or whatever colour you like and just add that to the belly. It will give more of a sense of 3D. All I can say is just great, can get a little dangerous. The more strokes you put on a bird, the dangerous it gets. I'll just show you that I'm putting a very light colour on my brush, we hope. So you can see that gives more of a sense of dimension to the belly. You could also do it there. You can keep going. When that dries, it'll be very light. How are we doing? Anybody got questions?
No, just more exercising.
Good. Excellent. birds come in all different flight patterns, and they're not as easy as sitting birds. My advice is, as my teacher said, just learn two birds, one sitting, one flying, and then you reverse it, and then you've got two more. You've got a bird facing in the other direction. He would say, you don't punish yourself. So I'm going to keep playing with my brush, and if something turns out right, that's good, and if it doesn't, well, that's just the way it is. I'm putting the black on my brush and just testing it, and again going to the paper here to make sure I don't have too wet a brush. Doing the head, as you see, the beak points upwards a bit, so the head will have more of a slant. Now I'm going to do the belly stroke on this bird, and I'm going to do it with, why not with gold? Why not? It's a nice contrasting color. But you want it fairly dilute. So that's going to have a little bit of belly showing down here, and then the leg. So let's see how we do. And we will give it some up here too. Woof woof. Then I'm going to continue that branch with the green. I have to be careful not to touch the black, otherwise it'll run. So where are we going to go with this? Okay.
Can you move it up a bit?
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah, we can't see its feet. Thank you.
I'll give this bird, actually I'll make it a lighter yellow. So you realize what your homework is, to do wisteria in a composition and add the birds. Did I hear groans? I'm seeing that we've only got 13 minutes left, so I'm not going to have time to do a full composition. But I will send you several compositions that I've done recently, and please use them as models. There is no law against copying paintings. This is a well-recognized school of thought in China, where you copy, then you do it in the style of a particular artist, or you are inspired by a particular artist. And you can do all those different ways, and you can use the models that you've learned from the teacher or from somebody from 500 years ago. And there is no, you know, in this country we say, oh, you copied that. That's how artists learn, is by copying the masters. And there is no shame in that.
Would you be able to give us some tips for getting a flying bird correct, Virginia? Or
Okay.
I know we've only got about 10 minutes left, but
Sure, we'll give it a go. The way my teacher taught me was always to start off with the beak and the eye. A lot of the modern painters start off with the back and then the head, and right at the last minute they put the beak and the eye in. For me, that's the expression of the bird, and so I want to start off with a good expression on that bird. And if it doesn't work, well, we throw it away and start again. So that's same stroke, the head of the bird. And then you'll see a little bit of neck, but not a lot, because the wing is going to go up. And the wing is, it depends on the bird, of course, but the wing goes up like that and then like that. So it's a press down, a lift up, and then a press down again. And wings are always longer than you think they're going to be. And there's usually some feathers there, and then that brush is too small for feathers. Okay. And on the underneath, they're going to be light colored. And the wing here, well, apparently we've got black wings. Well, why not? So then you need to decide, where is the tail going to go? Is it going to, the egg shape, is it going to be going up? Is it going to be going straight across, or is it going to be down a bit? And it would depend what you'd got down here. If you had, say, another bird on a branch here and it's flying towards it. So I'm adding a bit more neck there. And I may end up adding more, something like that. So we're not going to see really much of the back of the bird here. And the reason for that is that the wing is going to cover it. So then I need a light color for the underneath of the bird. So we have the throat. And you can do, you know, all sorts of patterns up here. Now I'm looking at that and I'm saying, well, if the tail's up there, that's too thin. So we need to add a little bit here. This bird is, I'm making a mess of this. There we go. And you could add a little bit of dark here, just to emphasize the wing a bit. I'm going to colour in the beak. I think I want a little bit more dark on that tail. I think I want the tail to come in here. That's better, I think.
Thanks very much. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, so we are just about finished with our workshop. I'm going to bring myself back to reality. There we go. Okay. So, any
Can I ask
questions?
one question?
Yeah.
I did my vine far too light. Is it acceptable to go back over with a darker colour? Or do you have to?
Why not?
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
what I was wondering.
Yeah. The rules are very flexible. You learn the rules and then you learn how to break them. And if you need to do a little extra stroke, like I looked at the wing and said it needed a bit more definition up here, and then the tail needed a little bit darker color to bring it out. Yeah, sure, why not? You're still working on it, you're still creating it.
Because it actually looks more 3D almost when you do that, because it looks like it's shaded, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. And some painters take ages to create birds, you know, feather by feather. And that's beautiful. That's not the style that I learned. That's more a Lingnan school where you do perfection, decorative. Even Gombi style is very much you do it meticulously. This is more Xiei, which is to paint the idea, to give the idea of flight. That's what a bird does. It gives you the idea of flight.
Yes, I've enjoyed this. Thank you.
Good, great.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Virginia. I did a